Serious teachers, what is the worst thing you've seen a student do? It gets very hot here in the warmer months, and so the school put out those big containers for water. For everyone. Well, one student was caught peeing into a bag and dumping it into the containers. A different type of bad than most of these. I was a teacher at a poor inner-city school. I had a lot of wonderful students but some difficult ones. One was the worst. Clearly bright but was always sleeping through class and acting up and never doing homework. I lived about 30 minutes away. One night, I stopped by the local Wawa after a night out with friends. Was at least 11:30 p.m. and I was already dreading the early morning drive to school. And who should be checking me out but my own problem, student. He was working late to make money for his family and then getting home at 1 a.m. or later before heading into school on 45 hours of sleep. He was a smart kid. Really smart. I hope things worked out for him, but I can't help but wonder what would have happened if he'd been allowed to have a childhood and focus on his education. Stab another student in the back of the head with a pencil. Went in right at the base of the skull. Luckily it didn't hit anything important and just needed 3 stitches. But it was deep enough that it stayed in before the doctors took it out. There was a loud pop and a flash in the back corner of the classroom. I asked the student sitting there what happened. She said it was firecrackers. I sent her to the office. While she was still in the office, I realized the electrical outlets in the room didn't work. At that point, another student fessed up that the student sent to the office had put a pair of scissors in the outlet. I'm not sure why that student thought it was better to lie and claim she was doing fireworks inside the school. I was talking to a kid about Pokemon one day during their lunchtime. I'm the band director and a lot of band kids come to the band room for lunch. We were having a good time. He's a great tuba player and I tell him I can't wait to see him tomorrow. He took a rope and hung himself in the last period of the day by kicking a desk out from under him. Luckily the teacher he was with was able to somehow get to him. But I ran down in time hearing the screaming and was in time to see him hanging there as others tried to support him enough to keep him from dying. Kid was gotten down. But that was awful. It's so hard to tell sometimes even when you're right there with them right before they try it. When I was teaching preschool, I had a little girl, between 34, walk up to another girl who was sitting on the rug reading a book, grab her by the hair and slam her head into the wall. They hadn't been interacting in any way prior. When I asked her why she did it, she said she wanted her to know it hurts. A student shot and killed another student on a teacher workday across the street from our high school. I walked in on a sexual assault between 2 students. Still bothers me like 8 years later. I have a list. 1. The kid who would mutilate herself if you told her she couldn't leave the room. Now you had to let her get out for first aid. Kid had major issues and was in foster care. 2. The kids that would threaten to accuse a teacher of indecency to get rid of him. They were caught by being overheard in the locker room while they were planning. 3. The first grader so violent he left permanent scars on staff. And the SPED department refused to change his educational setting. He punched me for tying his shoes wrong. 4. The POS that raped a blind girl while a substitute sat in an office not doing anything. 5. The freshman that put a senior through a glass window and broke his nose because the senior wouldn't stop bouncing a ball off of the back of the freshman's head. My wife is an elementary teacher and has a kid this year that likes to slip under their desk and lick toes. We live in a warm state, and they all think he will grow up to be a creeper. This wasn't me but my wife who used to teach deaf kids. When deaf kids get really mad and upset, they want to ignore the teacher just like anyone else. Here, they have an advantage. Deaf kids just have to close their eyes. That's it. With their eyes closed, they had no way of communicating with anyone. My wife couldn't do anything but bang on the desk. Genius. 2 boys pushed a girl down a flight of stairs. In no particular order. Masturbating in class, pushing a pregnant teacher in the stairs, ignite a senior school administrator office by throwing a trash bin full of lighter fluid while trying to block the door to prevent her escape. Fake gun and Rayal's knives. Armed robbery. We had the police arrest them inside the school after a fish dissection. Hide a fish by taping it below a desk. It was just before a 2 weeks holidays. The cleaning staff threw up when opening the class. Throwing a big firework on other students sitting in the toilet. Prostitution and drugs dealing in the school bathroom. Yup. Glad that I took a break from education. Not sure about grammar, sorry. French biology teacher. La sécurité de l'emploi, as they say here. Yeah, tell me about it. My mom taught special ed. She worked with EC kids who had emotional issues. After she died, I found this video of her and another teacher talking with a student, a boy who was about 10. The video is super disturbing. He tells them that he stabbed a woman and threw her in the river after he raped her. When asked what he had done to her during the rape, he said, "I took her clothes off and hurt her." You could tell that he didn't quite know what rape meant. He was persistent and spoke with an aggressive tone. He definitely didn't kill a woman. This story was made up. But it was super disturbing because you could tell that he had witnessed or experienced things that helped him come up with that story. He begged to go to jail. The realization that he would do this because jail seemed like a better place than his home. I know they notified CPS and made a police report. Just in case. I don't know what happened to him after that. He definitely didn't go to jail then. But I hope CPS got him out of that home. He was so aggressive. But it was all a plot to escape from whatever went on in his home. My favorite teacher in high school was a very kinda lenient man. Do your work. Be respectful. And follow the major school rules and you and him would be cool. The one thing that would seem minor, but that he was very strict about, was taking any medication in any way, shape or form in his classroom. One day, I needed to take some Advil for cramps and asked to take it. He said I needed to go to the nurse for permission. I ended up asking him why he's so strict on it. It turns out, he had a student pass out in class one day at his former school. He tried to wake her up and called the nurse. But she wouldn't wake up. They called 911 and by the time they got there, she had died of an OD on narcotics she took in the bathroom that she had hidden in a Tylenol bottle. I don't know how he went back to teaching after that. Tripped a pregnant teacher on purpose. She later miscarried. Once caught a child looking up furry porn on a class iPad. That was something. My wife has a few. This is only one. During class, one girl was sitting with her hands in her lap, shaped like a bowl. Upon further inspection, I noticed she was collecting her spit in her hands, said her name, made eye contact. She drinks it and wipes her hands on her shirt. She didn't make a move to ask to wash hands, so I sent her to. Kid threatened to rape a teacher. Brother is a teacher at a district with one-to-one technology for the students. They had parental filters on the school computers but had a lot of issues with kids abusing Dropbox. They had it installed for group projects so kids could collaborate, but it turned into a way for them to share nudes and cheat on exams and all sorts of other stuff. The weirdest one was a group of students that would take pictures of teachers bending over. They'd then edit faces onto the teachers' butts and upload them to a shared Dropbox folder, and it was like a weird but kind of innocentish meme in the high school. It pretty quickly turned into the students making fun of certain teachers and really sexualizing others.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.